It is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. And we're focusing in and zooming in on really one of the most important topics when it comes to understanding and working through narcissistic abuse. And that is how to stop fulfilling the demands of the narcissist. The demands of the narcissist can be multiplicity. It can be many faceted in nature, and it can take on many shapes and forms, including time, attention, money, energy, the way that you hold yourself and your perspective of yourself, your experience of yourself in the relationship, the relation of yourself and experience to the world, your spirituality, your physicality, your sexuality, your profession. It really can impact all layers and levels and areas of your life. To what extent you develop your life purpose, your life passion, your talents, know yourself, allow yourself to explore and expand and grow, can oftentimes be subjugated to the priority of satisfying the demands of the narcissist or the psychopath. And these are then created unconsciously over time, so they're away from conscious awareness. They are not what you would hitherto understood that this was not in your best interest. So the compliance, the duplicity, the satisfying of the demands of the narcissist is very difficult because it's been so habituated and repeated over time. It's very hard to see it and understand it as perhaps not the right thing to do. In other words, if you have overeaten all your life, you might say, well, this is just who I am. If you have always been an alcoholic all your life, you can say, this is just the cards that I was dealt with. If you have, become feeling under the control over another and, become dependent on them now financially, personally, emotionally, psychologically, physically, you might say, well, this is all that life has for me. You might have already thrown in the cards. You might have already said, well, this is all, this is the only choice that I have. This is how it has to be. So you've written your self-limitations in stone. You've basically carved them out, and you're then keeping yourself away from the broader perspective, really kind of what life is trying to pull you through or pull you towards. If you are able to then see what is fulfilling of their demands and what is not. So you have to be able to see clearly, accept and understand and acknowledge these within yourself, because the narcissist or psychopath isn't going to tell you to stop. They are going to perpetuate the cycle of supply because they are getting what it is that they need. And oftentimes the traumatic bond that is set up is there to satisfy their insecurity, their needs for egotistical supply, support. People call it the flying monkeys, whatever you want to call it. It is feeding some sort of emotional, psychological need for them. But it is not healthy in that it's not reciprocated, and it's not oftentimes done with transparency, honesty, and respect of others. They are oftentimes able to obtain this supply by diminishing, minimizing, or hurting others, or taking advantage of, or keeping them stifled, stuck, and suffocated in the dark, essentially. Withholding of information. Some cultures, this is like the norm. I was watching a video on Netflix, and they're talking about the Korean community and how in specific areas of like Los Angeles, where there's like a Koreatown where there's a lot of very progressive Korean people. It's like you become a doctor or a lawyer, or you're shunned from the family. And they talk about the rigid capitalist abuse that their parents would inflict on their children with beating or strange torturous behaviors, but it was just ingrained over generations. Like, we're the parents, you're the kids, and the abuse that they went on through is horrific, and it oftentimes, leads them to live, very pained lives. And it's something that they all share, and they call it like a constant chronic depression, and it's very interesting. I can get that Netflix out for you. I love Netflix. But anyway, it is like part of satisfying the demands. It becomes part of their identity. It's like, this is just what you do. You just lay down and take it, and you learn to avoid it or you learn to take your just due punishment, and you just learn to deal the best you can. So oftentimes it's very difficult to break that mold, and to say, no, I am not becoming, I'm not taking your corporal punishment. I'm not going to stand like this and take the whipping. I'm not going to stand like this and take the emotional abuse. I'm not going to listen to these emails, which are, keeping me powerless. I'm not taking these gifts where you're treating me like I'm, domestic help. Here's some coupons, or things like that are like minimizing you and your really sort of self-respect. It's keeping you down. The people who want to reinforce a negative identity of you, so they don't really kind of see or know the real you, and that is a shame. So they're the ones who are missing out. And this video was really all about some of this very incredible, I don't have his name right now, but a really prolific artist who's very well known in Koreatown in LA, and how he's done a lot of the murals for Facebook. I mean, the guy is super wealthy, but he had to break the mold. He had to break free and say, what, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I am an artist. He has a huge, gorgeous warehouse in LA where he's got these incredible murals that he does. He, has done incredible things for Facebook. He's bought his parents a home, so he's shown that he took that little ignition of flame of this is who I am, and this is where it's going down. And he just basically followed his heart, his gut instinct, his talent. He's not a doctor. He's not a lawyer. He's not an attorney. He even said, I could be a mediocre CPA and I would be more well accepted by my community if I had just done that. But here he is, a very talented, prolific artist. And he works with color and spray paint and very, painterly strokes and very physical, large-scale pieces. I mean, really incredible, really gorgeous. And he is wealthy beyond imagination, and he's living the good life. He has to deal with the fact that he had to break the mold. So do you see how he had to be a maverick? He had to stop satisfying the demands of his caretakers, his caregivers, the one who are setting the vision for his life. So oftentimes the narcissist will have a vision for your life, and it's not always good for you. It's to keep you down or subjugated, or as a means for them to fulfill their cycle of insecurity and to keep you subjugated in a meek position. And oftentimes that can be because of a multitude or multiplicitous variety of reasons. It could have been done to them. They, want you to feel the pain that they felt so that they never have to feel it again. They don't know better. It's just could be sheer lack of learning. Whatever it is, whatever happened. So, they might have placed these demands on you to become subservient, to become the meek, to become the passive, to become the docile, to become the silent, to become the invisible, while they, are, sitting atop the roost. So, realize that it is important to stop satisfying the demands and to say no, and to not feel guilty, not feel bad, not feel like you're hurting them or disappointing them. Yeah, they might be dissatisfied if you're no longer supporting them in the way that you used to, always taking care of them, doing whatever they say, never saying a peep, and then giving you rebuke or rebuffing you for wanting to change or needing to change. But you feel this pull within you, especially nowadays, personal growth, you have to change, or really, you get kind of waffled over. So it is learning how to stop satisfying the demands. First of all, knowing what the demands are, and then learning how to say no, learning how to put limits, learning how to put boundaries, learning how to, distinguish yourself, me, which is okay, and then you, and then these are my needs, and I know what they are, I feel what they are, and I'm reinforcing backing myself up, and I'm going to, individuate myself and separate myself moving forward, and I'm not going to feel ashamed. One of the great, manipulative tools of the narcissist is shame for who you are. You should be ashamed. You are this, you are that. I mean, all the lambasting is going to come, you just need to block it out. You need to get yourself into like a soundproof barrier, recording studio for yourself, your own internal soundproof recording studio where you are now paying attention to your voice, because ultimately your voice is your connection to God, source, your higher truth, your higher talents, and you need to obey that. Only is that voice going to walk you to your doctor visits, walk you to your job, walk you through life. I mean, you need to heed and give life to that. Because if you constantly are satisfying that, that narcissistic voice, you're always going to feel like there's something a little bit not right, and so you need to really separate yourself from the cause that's created this effect and reestablish the foundation energetically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, as we discussed through the resensitization, the recovery journal, the recovery dates, the recovery gift, the moments, getting your emotional sea legs on. And so that you have this, you can call on it no matter what is going on, whatever is changing in the world, you can say, no, that's not for me. The narcissist or psychopath might tell you, well, you should become the doctor, you should become the lawyer. Why don't you watch the news? Because it's constantly negative news. CNN, constantly negative news. What good am I doing for the good of life if I'm watching that news and consuming that toxic negativity? I am not helping anybody, and it's just, it's just sickening. So I am not going to engage in that. That is my personal choice. One of my people who I look up to, W. Clement Stone, is a power of positive thinking, a very prolific businessman in the Chicago area, who has a tremendous story. You can watch some of his tapes, but he's very, very prolific, very influential, very affluent, very influential with Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul, a multi-billion-dollar brand. He talks about, TV is the negative, what does he call it? The income reducer, because if you need to be able to fill yourself with a positive. And he basically wrote a wonderful book called The Power of Positive Thinking. And that started really a lot of, he started insurance companies, a guy of very short stature. I remember seeing him. He's probably shorter than me. I'm about 5'6", really slight guy, but very, very influential, impactful, and powerful. And he knew what he was doing. He did so much to help and design, centers for awareness, knowledge, education. There's so much value to what he has to offer. And, you cannot, simultaneously satisfy the demands of the narcissist, and which is depleting you, and become empowered. It is very difficult. So you need to know where and how to put the brakes on, and do it gently with yourself. It's not like you're just, abandoning ship, but learn how to say no, learn what no means, how to articulate it, and then how to walk away if they're trying to get you stuck back into satisfying their narcissistic needs, which are not in your best interest. Know what your best interest is and back it up 100%. On a daily basis, you'll get momentum and experience, and then you'll no longer feel the need to doubt yourself or live in low self-esteem that hitherto had been implanted upon you by a narcissist or psychopathic abuser. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.